ICC. Pero yung on the matter of non-cooperation with the current investigation, ay inulit po niya ang kanyang statement na we cannot cooperate for reasons already explained.
So therefore, kung sinabi niya understudy, what would you recommend to the president?
Pag-aaralan ko rin po, Your Honor. Marami pong factors na kailangan natin i-consider sa pagre-rejoin, kaya kung ang presidente po mismo ay sinabi na kailangan ng masusing pag-aaral tungkol dyan, eh lalo na po ako na kailangan mag-aral para dyan.
Thank you, Co-Chair. May we know, you have just one question, ano? Representative Jacob? Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Kanina pa po ako nakikinig sa mga legal positions ng bawat panig eh. But I think I would agree with the Honorable Guevara that the bone of contention of this issue is contained in Article 127, Paragraph 2. May I know, ano po yung definition nyo ng the term commence? Kasi if I read yung statement na pinagtatalunan natin ngayong araw na ito is, the withdrawal shall not affect any cooperation with the court in connection with criminal investigations and proceedings in relation to which the withdrawing state had a duty to cooperate. That's the first condition. Pero hindi po, may second and ang sinabi, which were commenced prior to the date on which the withdrawal became effective. Yun po yung crux of the issue eh. Di po ba? But may I ask, Your Honor, the Solicitor General, what is, I think this statute has also its rules of procedure. In the same manner that we have our rules of criminal and civil procedure. Tama po?
Tama po yan,
Yes.
Your Honor.
Now, the statement speaks of the term commence. So, going to Webster Dictionary, it means to begin or to start. Tama po?
Tama po.
Would you agree, Your Honor?
Tama po.
Oh. But, doon po sa previous statement, it is in connection with criminal investigations.
Tama po.
Now, when would a criminal investigation commence?
Upon the, well, depende po yan kung ang pinag-uusapan po natin ay yung sa ating sistema
Hindi,
o doon sa sistema ng
Your Honor,
ICC.
I'm speaking of, I'm citing the statement stated in Article 127 of the Rome Statute. It speaks of criminal investigations,
Apo.
and the term commence was used.
Apo.
Now, may I know, when does a criminal investigation internationally or locally start? That's my point, Mr. Secretary.
Yes, Your Honor. If we are going to base it on Article 13, it is when the one of the instances would be when the ICC prosecutor motu proprio requests for investigation. Request to commence. Maybe we should take a look at
No.
Article 13. Your Honor.
Article 13 speaks of exercise of jurisdiction. Yes, I agree, Your Honor. Kaya nga po, tinatanong ko eh, kasi nandito po yung issue natin eh. Kanina ko pa pinakikinggan yung mga legal treatises ninyo eh, pero this issue should be resolved. What is the legal definition insofar as international law is concerned sa term not to commence? And insofar as international law is concerned, what do we mean by criminal investigations? And when does a criminal investigation start with international law? Yun po yung issue ngayon eh.
Yes, Your Honor. In the case of the Rome Statute, which created the ICC, the commencement of the the investigation would be at the point where the pretrial chamber authorized the ICC prosecutor to commence his investigation. That is exactly what the two judges of the appeals chamber said. In fact, the prosecutor filed a request for the commencement of his investigation. He made that request to the pretrial chamber in March of 2021. So the pretrial chamber authorized the commencement of the investigation in September of 2021.
I heard that from you, Your Honor.
So that is my
But
answer.
I also listened to my good friend, the Honorable Colmenares. And I'm speaking as an investigator, Your Honor. A criminal investigation starts the moment a complainant files a complaint against somebody. Kaya, tama yung sabi po ninyo, Kong Colmenares. Kanya-kanyang interpretasyon ito. Because look at the rules of procedure. Dito po sa rules of procedure ng Rome Statute, wala akong makita na that will state kung kailan nagsisimula yung criminal investigation stated in Article 127. Yun po yung ko. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, if I may just clarify doon, Mr. Chair,
Oh.
just to clarify kung Kops.
Short
Short lang,
Okay.
Mr. Chair. Kasi I agree with the Solgen, exercise of jurisdiction is under Article 13 in relation to Article 15. And that's what the Solgen said
In
kanina.
relation to Article 12.
12. But then Article 13 refers to 15. You mentioned that kanina. What does Article 15 say? So the trigger ng exercise of jurisdiction. The prosecutor may initiate investigations proprio moto on the basis of information on crimes within the jurisdiction of the court. It does not say that the prosecutor will ask, but it says initiate. So that is different from preliminary investigation. And that is founded, Mr. Chair, for the lawyers na lang, under the same Article 15 referred to by the Solicitor General, subsection 6, which says, if after preliminary examination referred to in paragraph 1, which is investigation, the prosecutor concludes that information provided does not constitute a reasonable basis for investigation, he shall inform. And on the other hand, he may even also ask. So basically, ang sinasabi ko lang, Mr. Chair, while of course the victims will argue na nung final namin yan, it's a matter under consideration by the ICC. But even granting the argument of the government na it's Article 12 and 13 in relation to 15, then the start of the preliminary examination, which is in 2018, is the start or the commencement of the proceedings. But the government, well, they argue, no, it's not the preliminary examination of the prosecutor. It's when he or she requests for the preliminary investigation. So that's a matter of interpretation now. But for us, Article 15 is very clear. The exercise of jurisdiction is triggered when the prosecutor motu proprio investigates, doesn't even ask for approval, investigates. And that's why we say under the terms of Article 127, it has commenced and therefore the state has to cooperate. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for that.
Thank you, Attorney Neri. Soljan, can I just get back to you later? I'll just recognize first Representative Manuel for his questions.
Thank you to our chairpersons. Bale po, since many questions have already been posed, I would like to manifest first na dismayado po tayo dun sa hindi pagiging handa ng ating ilang mga agencies when it comes to data which are very crucial sa ating discussion. Halimbawa po, Mr. Chair, na ang main din na inaasahan ng DOJ for its data ay ang Philippine National Police. ang pinag-uusapan po natin drug-related killings na ang mayor din na dapat imbestigahan doon ang PNP mismo, Mr. Chair. And nangyari na rin naman at nagkaroon ng maraming mga testimonials and documentation about cover-ups, tapos pagtatanim nga rin ng iba't ibang mga ebidensya. Kaya Mr. Chair, tingin natin hindi natin mapipilit ang ating mga kababayan kung hindi sila agad-agad na makakapagtiwala hanggang ngayon dun sa nabanggit na mga ahensya at maghahanap sila ng ibang mga recourse para makamit talaga yung hustisya. And Mr. Chair, naunawaan ko rin kung bakit tinuturing na controversial ang issue na ito kasi maliban sa dating Pangulo, napangalanan din sa mga dokumento ng ICC ang nakaupong Vice Presidente tsaka 2 senador. Gayunpaman, Mr. Chair, kapag gumulong na ang lahat ng kinakailangang proseso sa bandang huli, walang sino mang tao ang dapat na makawala ng hindi nananagot kapag may nagawa silang kasalanan sa bayan. Kahit dating mataas na opisyal pa yan o kasalukuyang nakaupo sa pwesto, kahit dating presidente o dating PNP chief pa yan. Hindi rin dapat ginagamit ang anumang posisyon sa gobyerno para protektahan ang sarili o ang kamag-anak na dapat humarap sa investigasyon. Kaugnay po niyan, hindi dapat gamitin ng sino mang opisyal ang kanyang posisyon sa gobyerno para din atakihin ang mga kabataan at kababayang nagsusulong ng hustisya at pumapanig sa mga biktima ng war on drugs. Kaya kung meron pong investigasyon na dapat matuloy at mabilis na umusad, ito ang investigasyon sa lahat ng mga nagpasimuno ng madugong giyera kontra droga. Hindi forever ang impunity at kasaysayan po ang nagpapatunay na maniningil talaga ang mga naapi. Kaya dapat din maghanda ang mga sangkot dahil ang mga ebidensya laban sa kanila ay sobrang bigat na. Hindi gawa-gawa, hindi pinwersa, kundi sapat na batayan para seryosohin ang pagtiyak ng pagpapanagot sa mga may sala. Yun na lang po to our chairpersons. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Representative Manuel. Representative Franz Castro.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So hindi na rin ako magtatanong usapang legal yung mga usapan dyan. Pero regardless, although mahalaga po yung katulad na sinasabi ninyo na jurisdiction, yung kung ano-ano man dyan. Pero ang primary po dito, Mr. Chair, 7,732 ang namatay. Saan ngayon pupwesto ang mga ahensya ng ating gobyerno? Dismayado ako no? Doon sa sinasabi ng ating mga resource person dito, aside from kay Attorney Neri and the rest, yung mga agency, dismayado ako except for CHR, for cooperation. Alam niyo po, ang primary dito, Mr. Chair, pinag-uusapan dito ay buhay. So wala pong mga impediment dapat na napipigil doon sa paghahanap ng hustisya para dito sa 7,732. Actually, marami pa to kung tutuusin natin. Ito nga lang yung reported. Wala sa kasaysayan natin ng administrasyon na may namatay na ganito karami. So titignan na lang natin sa war on drugs. At alam natin nangyari itong mga patayan na ito dahil sa kagagawan o sa policy ng government nung nakaraan. Ito yung war on drugs. At ang ginamit na pamamaraan dito ay tukhang. At ito yung mga nangyari. Kung makikita ninyo, kung nagbabasa kayo ng mga istorya ng mga biktima, maiiyak po kayo pare-parehas ang pattern, nanlaban, naglagay nagplanta ng mga ebidensya. So ito ba ay hindi concern ng gobyerno sa ngayon, Mr. Chairs? Dahil talagang kung concern talaga ang gobyerno at seryoso talaga sila, lalong-lalo na ang DOJ, ang PNP, di bali ng PNP sangkot sila no? Sa genuine prosecution na sinasabi po doon sa Rome Statute, ay dapat ay hindi lang 50, hindi lang 57. Kung naging meron mang uninterested o na mga biktima po o mga pamilya ng biktima, so dapat tinulungan po natin sila, no? May mga moto proprio tayo na pwedeng gamitin. So in the span of 6-7 years, ganito lang yung nagawa ng ating prosecution. No wonder bakit tayo ang sama ng image natin sa international ang pumapasok ang ICC dito dahil 7,000 is 7,000. Isa nga lang yung mamatay concern na talaga, Mr. Chair. Kaya tayo, so kami, resolve kami talaga na payagan natin yung ating yung ICC na mag-cooperate. So in-encourage ko talaga kasi sinasabi ng mga resource person natin dito na National Government Agency, it's up for the President. So kami, nag-aapela talaga kami kay Presidente na payagan yung pag-ano dito, no? Napayagan at mag-cooperate sa ICC dahil inutil yung ating inutil dahil 7,000, 50 lang inutil yung ating mga ahensya.
Thank you, Representative Castro. Now we're going back to Representative Lagman.
Actually, joint chairman, the exercise of jurisdiction, which is the second aspect mentioned by the Solicitor General, is covered by Article 13. And that exercise of jurisdiction commences when the prosecutor has initiated an investigation in respect of such a crime in accordance with Article 15. That is when that jurisdiction, when the exercise of that jurisdiction commences, because the prosecutors are part of the ICC. Now, what does Section 15 say? Section 15 provides for two kinds of investigation. One is investigation motu proprio of the prosecutor. But under the agencies, under the coverage of the ICC. And the second investigation is the investigation, which is usually referred to as the preliminary investigation, as authorized by the pre-trial chamber. But that second investigation is not the commencement. The commencement is the investigation motu proprio by the prosecutor. What is the language? It says here, if the prosecutor concludes that there is a reasonable basis to proceed. The word is proceed. That means to say, nagsimula na, ipagpapatuloy lamang. That's why we should not base our government's objection to the preliminary investigation by saying that it came after the effectivity of our withdrawal, because the investigation commenced prior to the effectivity of our withdrawal from the ICC. I think that should be impressed on us. Now, with respect to the sovereignty of the state, sovereignty, Solicitor General, is not absolute. Is that correct?
Hindi ko po nakuha yung tanong.
Sovereignty is not absolute.
Yes, it is not absolute.
Is it not absolute? Because there are times when the state would voluntarily, quote unquote, surrender a portion of its sovereignty, as when it becomes a state signatory to international conventions like the Rome Statute. Is that correct?
Tama po yan.
Tama yun. Now, let us go to the import of the obiter dictum in the case of Pangilinan versus Cayetano. Obiter dictum is not a useless surplusage.
It is not.
It is not. It expresses the sense of the court as guidance. Is that correct?
Tama po.
Okay. So let us not demean that decision that there was an obiter, because that obiter is significant. And my last question, our good solicitor, is if the House and the Senate would approve their respective resolutions urging the government to cooperate with the ICC, what would be your recommendation to the President, who has the onus of making that final decision?
You're asking for my recommendation? Your Honor, if it were just probably some members expressing their sentiment, I would not have any problem with that, Your Honor. But if it's an institutional resolution, meaning as adopted, and it's the House itself
And
and the Senate itself expressing that sentiment, it will really be a very complicated situation, Your Honor, because from the point of view, from an external point of view, it would seem that the Republic is fragmented in its position. One political department is saying something, and another political department is saying another thing. When the President made his statement that that the government will not cooperate, my understanding is he was saying that as head of the Republic, as head of the state, the sovereign Republic of the Philippines. He was not saying that simply as chief executive or as the head of the executive department. He's saying that as the head of state. And therefore, Your Honor, that will put him in a very difficult situation. I cannot, as of this time, think of a recommendation to give to him. It's really something that I would request Congress itself to think about. Because, as I said, it will appear to the outside world that the Republic is fragmented.
Well, if the Republic is fragmented, there is good reason to unite the political departments. And nothing is cast in stone. Do you agree?
That is true.
And the President can change his mind and consider the joint sentiment of the House and the Senate. Is that possible?
I am sure, Your Honor, that if the proposed resolutions come to pass and they are adopted as institutional positions of both the House and the Senate, the President will definitely consider your resolutions.
Mhm.
But whether or not he will actually follow your request that we cooperate is something that he alone,
Mm.
as head of the government, head of state, and representative of the Republic, may decide on.
But, the President does not act alone. That is why he has his cabinet. He has his Solicitor General. is the Solicitor General ready to defy the resolutions of the House and the Senate?
Your Honor, the resolution is not addressed to me. It's addressed to the president. And
It's addressed to the executive department, to the government, and you are part of the cabinet of the president.
yes, Your Honor, but since the president is the chief executive and he is the person or officer principally in charge of foreign relations, then his own decision on the matter will be most crucial.
Okay.
Of course, this will be studied by members of his cabinet, his legal advisor, his political advisor, and so forth and so on. But I think since he is the primary architect of our foreign policy, under which the matter of this ICC investigation falls, then I guess we should all give some respect to his decision on the matter.
Well, we give respect, but we would like also to put out our own sentiment on the matter. Suppose the president would ask you, Mr. Solicitor General, what is your recommendation after the Senate and the House approve the resolutions?
Your Honor, I have already taken a position on this matter when I represented the Republic of the Philippines before the ICC Appeals Chamber. And I have no reason, Your Honor, to change my position. So if the president would ask me about my personal position on the issue, I will stick to what I have always adopted before the ICC.
And in that appeal before the ICC, the government lost. Because the ICC said that the preliminary investigation must proceed.
Your Honor, lost, yes, in that sense that the prosecutor was authorized to continue with this investigation. But to a certain extent, that decision was also a failure. And why so? Because it did not rule on jurisdiction. And that is why I'm saying, Your Honor, that although we have different interpretations as to the meaning of Article 13 in relation to Article 15, the time will come when this issue will actually be raised again before the ICC. And when will that time be? When specific concrete cases are filed against certain specific individuals are concerned. And these individuals will raise the very same issues raised by the state. So that will be an opportunity for the ICC to do what it failed to do when we filed our appeal before the ICC Appeals Chamber.
In other words, Mr. Solicitor General, you will tell the president that you are maintaining your appeal, the issues on which you raised on appeal before the ICC, and consequently, impliedly, you are saying, don't follow the resolutions of the Senate and of the House.
Your Honor, I respect the resolution of the House if it will be adopted. If a similar resolution is adopted by the Senate, I will also have to respect that. But if you are asking for my position as Solicitor General, I cannot depart from a position that I have consistently adopted.
But we should remember that the bottom line of that appeal is the Republic lost its case. Although the ICC did not rule categorically on jurisdiction, because the majority decided that jurisdiction is obvious. It's obvious. If you read the Rome Statute, it's obvious that it has jurisdiction. Most probably it was just trying to save the Republic from further embarrassment. Thank you, Joint Chair.
SG, mukhang nagbago yata yung timpla ng sagot mo. Because I asked the same question to you. Sabi mo sa akin, pagkaaralan mo pa eh.
Well, this is the opportunity to say it, Your Honor. Since I was pressed for an answer, I had to give it, and I have no reason to depart from what I had already stated. I think it's not only improper, it's illogical.
Ang
But
bili-
nothing is cast in stone.
ang bilis. The,
No, Your Honor, I'm talking from a legal standpoint. I'm not speaking as a political person.
Even in legal parlance or jurisprudence, nothing is cast in stone because the Supreme Court would even depart or reverse its previous decisions.
That may be true, Your Honor. That's why I'm saying that the bone of contention here remains unsettled, and there will be future instances where this issue of jurisdiction and exercise of jurisdiction will actually be the subject matter. And that will happen probably when Article 19 on specific concrete cases actually arise.
well, with all of the legal questions and answers, my co-chair and my colleagues, perhaps knowing that the president is also a politician, that if Congress and the Senate adopted this resolution, it means that it represents the whole country and the electorate of the whole country. Perhaps he might be able to change his mind. And because of that also, Mr. Chair, our good Solicitor General will also change his mind later on.